Hi.
Hi everyone, welcome to our second installment of Kopi Chat Dabao for 2020. Today I have with me Jonathan Teoh from Unlive.
Well, Marina, thank you for having me here.
Yes. So, thank you for joining us. If you have questions for Jonathan later, please feel free to put them in the comment box below. This is brought to you by NUS Enterprise and also Block 71. Block 71 is the ecosystem builder and global connector, and also the gateways for startups all over the world to Singapore and out of Singapore. And Jonathan happens to be one of our incubatees here at Block 71. So Jonathan, could you share more with us? What does UN do?
Well, first of all, UN is supported by NUS Enterprise and Access Health under the Modern Aging Initiative. And that's an accelerated program originally supported by the Ministry of Health to catalyze innovation for an aging nation. So we are first and foremost a social enterprise, and what we're trying to do is help empower people, retirees in particular, to live meaningfully and purposefully in their golden years. And how we want to do this is by strengthening the core family units and via an inclusive platform centered around financial preparedness, meaningful opportunities, personal well-being, and community connectedness. So for us, what we're focusing on today is for the financial preparedness pillar, where we've created a tool that will allow seniors to monetize a portion of their private properties to fund their retirement. And this is the first of its kind in the world, where we've developed it from the ground up via the Modern Aging Accelerator. And it's something that removes the risks, addresses all current pain points that seniors have faced from other products, and make it very, very attractive to them. Of course, then we are layering this with an inclusive digital platform that will further serve their needs throughout their journey. And we think that it's going to be something that will be very, very useful for Singapore, given its aging population and income security amongst its seniors.
I see. So how do you come up with this idea? What was your driver? I mean, like, from my understanding, you were formerly an architect, you have no, how do you say, you didn't practice any tech, you weren't in the social enterprise space. So what made you like come up with UN and wanting to monetize financial properties, or creating a financial product by monetizing properties?
Well, that's a good question. So first and foremost, I come from a family of social entrepreneurs. My mum used to be the managing director of Rakit Bankisa. They're a global household personal care brand, and they do things like Dettol, Shield Talks, Morty, together with Pharma, and she ran the Malaysian, Singapore, Thai, and Indo-China offices. And what she wanted to do was that when she left this company was to give back to society, and she 13 years ago correctly identified the mega trend of the ethical consumer, and built a brand called the Truly Loving Company around that, where it markets a range of household and personal care products that give 100% of its dividends to charity. So today is one of Malaysia's largest and most established social enterprises by revenue. And so what I want to do is to follow Mum in her footsteps, but unlocking my years, decades of design experience in property, architecture. I did marketing. I was with M+S, Khazanah and Temasek company that built Marina One and DUO. And I felt that I needed to look at addressing the mega trends of the 21st century, which is population aging.
Yes.
And it's something which we feel that the solutions that we create today would not only help people in Singapore, but on a global scale.
On that note, yes, my next question was, how are you going to use technology to scale this product of yours? Okay,
so I will look at it from before the technology comes the design. How do you put it together? And as an architect, design thinking, it comes second nature to us, and it's something where we consider the user, their needs, and again challenge assumptions of how things have been brought to market, and question the strategies, to unearth new strategies to dealing with this and looking at things that have not been done before to create a better outcome than its predecessors. So, so what we've done is that we adopted a solution-based approach to solve this problem, which was the fact that we are facing a society where we don't have enough wealth to last our retirement, and also potentially declining health in your advanced years. So in that sense, we looked at a solution where how first do we remove risks? Because when people are over 60, it's not a time for them to take risk. The less risk, the better. So we had to look at that from that perspective, but also remove pain points of previous products. And I think that's where currently, today, seniors could choose to monetize their home in just 3 ways. The ones living in private properties, that is, they can choose to sublet, downsize, or look at reverse mortgage. Now, with subletting, the problem is that you have privacy concerns, that you have some strangers living with you, and it's not ideal. And in a soft property market, income can be not so reliable. And downsizing, well, a lot of people have lived in the communities for a very long time already. So what we believe is that, and from the conversations, they want to stay in the community. It's like asking you, like, let's just say you've been living in Bedok for years, and I ask you to live in Jurong. Not disrespecting the guys who live in Jurong.
Hey,
but
the West Side rocks, okay?
So not disrespecting them, but it's like asking you to move to a different community, making new friends, and for people who've been doing that for many, many decades, it's a hard sell. And I would say also that downsizing may not yield, again, in the soft property market, the results you're looking for. And reverse mortgages, those were the things that were once offered by OCBC and TVC Income, and that unfortunately failed as a product because what happened was that these products work in a way that you take a loan from the bank for X amount of time, but the problem is that you could find yourself homeless in your advanced years if you live beyond the terms of the loan, and it carries a huge negative equity risk. So meaning to say that when SARS happened in 2003, property values dropped, and that actually made a bank call onto an owner who actually purchased a reverse mortgage, and that ended badly with a lawsuit, and that kind of killed the entire reverse mortgage market. So what we want to do is look at it being more sustainable and provide that peace of mind to seniors. And I'm pleased to say that we've accomplished that on a strategic level. So now what remains is the executional level, which we're now progressing into. And at the end of the day, we want to, by seniors monetizing a portion of their home equity, they can still retain the other portion as capital appreciation or bequest, but more importantly, from the amount that they release to us, we will give them back guaranteed annuities and monthly payouts for life. And we created a very sustainable model that has been validated, and we can't wait to bring it to market.
Got it. But actually I don't. Okay, so in layman terms, can you just walk me through how does your product work, or how does Unliving work for a person who has like zero finance knowledge? I mean, simple, I graduated from SMU with a finance degree, but like, dude,
okay,
so I still don't understand.
Well, it's quite well. What we're doing first of all is working within Singapore's regulations. So and we're supported by legal opinions and frameworks from our NUS appointed legal consultant, Central Chambers. And so what it is that from a consumer point of view, assuming let's say you have a $2 million home, you can, it's fully paid for, and you might have just not enough cash flow. And cash flow for you is vital to put food on the table, keep lights on, and set aside something for tomorrow's expenses. So what we could do is you could sell me half of your home. Okay. All right, and that's 1 million's worth. And what we then can do is live in your own home for life. Okay. So which means that no one knows whether you've already monetized your property or not, because it's still staying in the same address. And
So there's the privacy bit, right?
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that, from that 1 million that you release, we will pay you back guaranteed annuities and term payouts every 7 years. So from our model, if you hold it for beyond 25 years, you probably get back between 1 and 1.5 times of what you released today. So it means that even if you release 1 million to me, I'll give back 1.5 million.
Okay.
Based on our model, which makes it very, very attractive to people.
Yep.
And you work backwards. It's almost as good as monetizing a part of your home equity, putting it into a fixed deposit, and living off the income from it.
Okay, can we take a step back? So do you actually liquidate their home asset? You don't sell off their home.
No, we buy from them.
A portion of their home.
Yes. So we buy from them, and you see the beautiful part of our model is that we bring together all these housing equity into a fund that we've created that we will then on sale in bulk to an institutional investor. An institutional investor typically are like your pension funds or your insurance companies, where they have hundreds and billions of, or not even trillions of capital that need to deploy and need to grow in order to meet their future liabilities. In today's world, where yields are very low, this is a lot of these funds are looking into alternative asset strategies such as property to diversify their portfolio so that they can be able to deliver on these returns. And we see that this is something which they are very interested in, given the stability of Singapore's property market and that it has good economic fundamentals with good growth prospects.
Okay. I think I somewhat get it, but in short, you are helping people with homes to monetize their homes so that they could live in their own home for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
Yeah, with some returns.
With some cash flow. So from our calculations, typically people with from our statistics from SMU, we found that most people, when you look at how much cash savings they have when they reach 60 and they project to live over 25 years, even though you begin with say 300,000, which is a big sum of cash, but you be divided on a monthly basis, assuming no further income, it's just about just under about 1,500, which is not enough. I mean, most of our salaries aren't even 1,500 these days. So what we want to do is basically look at how do we add to that existing cash savings with your CPF, so that when you add it all together, it's a nice figure that will pay for all your monthly living expenses. And the beautiful part about our model is that every 7 years we will give a generous 5 to 6 figure check. So that will cover you for your next 7 years. So assuming you come in at 60 and at 67 you get your check, it will pay for a lot of things that you might need in your elder years.
Expenses. Okay, understand. So maybe let's move back to the tech bit of your product. You mentioned that there is a digital inclusive platform for them to use to live on for the rest of their lives. So how does that work and what does that entail?
Okay, so some of the parts that we concentrate on are very much on financial security, because financial security is the foundation for which you could live better, access better health, and be better connected. So first of all, foremost that, and we have looked at the entire process and realized that it's a multidisciplinary process that you need to, in order to deliver this outcome. And what we've done is that we've put in tech in certain areas where we know it delivers the greatest value in terms of risk management, in terms of portfolio allocation, and in terms of due diligence. This helps us to be able to ascertain whether these people whom we're connecting to are the best that we can, that have the best solution that's cost effective and can get us to that outcome in a safe, dependable way. So the tech does that in various parts. It's not one tech, it's many pieces that combine together into a very well executed process.
So is it more like a platform or an app or a...
It's first with a technology platform, then you have a fintech component. You see it as what you call robo-advisory, but whether it's customized to meet our needs rather than the retail variety you see out there in the market these days. Of course, then we also have property valuation technologies that are AI driven, so that we can at a push a button know, okay, where is the value of these properties going, and whether or not that is something where if we deploy, we would buy into it, whether it's a safe part, whether it's safe to add to our portfolio. So all these come together to work seamlessly, and that's, I think, the beauty of it, that it's not one piece but many pieces that come together.
Cool. So how did you discover this tech, and how did you develop it yourself, or do you get a few developers?
Well, because it's a multidisciplinary approach, and we don't profess to be subject matter experts of everything, but it's by working with people and customizing it to our needs and the needs of our seniors that we're using it in different ways that people will not use it in. So I think that's where we're very different, but it allows us to deliver an outcome quickly rather than to prototype a tech which may not work. We work with what is out there first, get better at it, and automate it once we're comfortable that it generates a repeatable process that delivers a repeatable outcome.
So it's understand. So you reiterate
it's not the shelf tech.
Yes,
it's not the shelf tech.
Cool. Understand. What's my next question? Let me see. So we have a lot of mid-career changes here. So for yourself, you were an architect and then you moved into being a startup founder. So do you have, what was your experience in that transition? Was it difficult for you? Should people do it? Do you advise potential startup founders to not go down this very gritty and
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's something where you have to draw a line in the sand and tell yourself, well, first of all, we live in an extremely volatile, uncertain, confusing, ambiguous world. I mean, you can just look at that. Even today, we have coronavirus, and no one could have expected that a month ago. And the only way forward is to keep reinventing yourself and making yourself remain relevant. And I think my advice to a lot of people would be to look at mega trends, because that's not going to go away, and venture into areas which people will pay for your products and services. So I think when you align yourself to that sort of thing, you know that you are heading in the right direction, and it's a matter of timing, it's a matter of perseverance, capabilities, and resourcing, being aligned to an ecosystem like, say, NUS Enterprise. That's always very good to make this happen. But the way I see it, we live in a time which there's a lot of disruption happening, and people like to say there's a lot of technological disruptions. Yes. But a lot of people also forget that we're living in a world where there's demographic disruptions, and people are living longer, and the world changing. You have to keep learning, even though that you might be a little bit older. You got to keep learning still to remain relevant.
Understand. Cool. So you identified a gap that wasn't served yet in the market, and then you addressed it. So whenever someone find a non-consumption kind of space, they tend to have to really educate an audience, right? To try and convince people that this is the new way to go. What was your experience with that, and how do you finally manage to get some traction for your startup? Okay,
I think the main thing is that we are trying to solve a problem, and a lot of VCs look at what is your addressable problem and what's areas of opportunity. I would say that ours is a hugely strategic problem. That's why even the Singapore government has identified this as something. Retirement adequacy is something that's a very big issue among seniors, and will feature prominently in the upcoming budget 2020. Yeah. So when you start to align to such big topics like that, I think invariably it's something that, and if you're able to deliver a sustainable solution, invariably it's something that would prosper and see market demand from there. So we've been working with industry leaders from banking, property, legal and research communities together with a lot of government agencies, and I think we're very, very heartened to see the response that even from progressive genius whom we've connected to, that we're all very excited because this is the first of its kind of world. I think probably made in Singapore for Singaporeans, and something then that can be exported out. So it's something where we believe that because of the intrinsic value proposition that you could stay in your home for life, you get money that's in a very safe way. It's very transparent. It's backed by notable institutions whom we're working with. It's something where you don't have to think too hard, but rather focus on addressing your immediate cash flow needs, then focus on living your life well.
Got it. Understand. So, 2020, we are in the month of February. So, what do you see yourself working on for this year, especially with the whole coronavirus? Has that hindered your progress? Doesn't affect you?
Well, my advice to everybody is that we've not yet seen community spread, and we should therefore continue living our lives and the way we planned it even before this happened. But we nevertheless reflecting on what PM said, that we're in for a lot of pain because of our economy being so trade dependent on China. And so what we see for our product is to support families that could have been hit badly by this from a financial basis, and our tool could potentially help them, especially that we could help monetize a portion of their homes and start delivering much needed cash flow in a sustainable way for their lifetimes. So I think this comes at a good time, and where it's something like this is very badly needed.
Yes.
To ensure that our seniors are very well taken care of for the future.
Interesting that you mentioned seniors. The thing is, at what age do you think people should start monetizing your home? Do you have the minimum age for you to monetize your home, or is anyone able to do it?
Well, we set in basically our model accounts for 30 years of holding on to this property itself. So with life expectancy looking to reach towards 90 by the end of this decade, we would say that 60 is a good time. At least then 60 would be 60 is also a good time for you to consider a lot of things in your life in terms of you're probably nearing the official age of retirement. It's getting pushed further and further back. But it's good to start taking stock of how you want to live your life and how you want to structure your finances and to meet your life goals, because at the end of the day you only have one life, and you should live life in your own terms. And and make it happen, because there's no going back after this.
I understand. So if you have any questions for Jonathan with regards to financial products, with regards to monetizing your home for retirement, please do drop us a message on Facebook in the comment box below. Let me ask you another question. I'm going to throw you a curveball and just ask you. So there's this whole trend on co-living, right? A lot of millennials are very, mobile, they're very flexible, they're moving towards living in wherever they like, whenever they like. So with this mindset shift as everyone gets older, do you think people are going to want to live in other communities, or create their own community homes? And then in 20 years, do you still think your product will be relevant in a sense?
Okay. So it's something we've thought very hard of, and I'd like to take a step back and look at the reasons why even co-living or the shared economy exists in the first place. And it's largely due to the fact that the assets have become tremendously expensive, to the point that young people are unable to afford to purchase the whole asset itself. And I mean, that goes for, say, sharing of cars. They can't afford to buy a car, so they share a car. Whether it comes to drive it or not is a different story. Same goes for homes or spaces. So in terms of spaces, you've got co-working spaces that if you cannot afford to rent an entire office, then you can just rent a portion of it. And co-living, by that nature, is an example where you cannot buy the entire house. You have to buy or access only a portion of it, and so that's to do with the fact that people just can't afford all these assets. And I would say that is due to, you take a step back even further, as explained by Piyush Gupta, CEO of DBS, it's due to the fact that economy is not growing due to lengthening demographics. People are when you don't have enough people being born into this world, it just sucks demand, and people are no longer buying into the future. They are drawing from the past, and that's why you'll start seeing depressed wages. You'll start seeing a lot of asset prices that just won't move.
Yeah.
Now, for us to solve this requires a different level of thinking, where ownership of assets you need not need to own an asset fully in order to use it. And we are on that trend where we're bringing out this trend of property co-ownership, where in the past property ownership has always been binary, 0 or 1. It's 0 if you're renting it, or it's still under mortgage until you fully pay it off. It's using the space. And 1 is when you're living in it and it's fully paid off. But what we're trying to do is now bring somewhere in the middle where you can have your cake and eat it too, because it's owned by somebody else, and they just want the returns from the equity itself. So the trend is going to last for the next 20, 50 years. And what we're trying to do is start here in Singapore and go global.
Cool. I think that's a very interesting concept by sharing. I mean, I don't have to own property by myself, but I think still live it on my own, and someone else owns a portion of my place.
Yes.
I mean, makes everything more affordable, makes sense to me for now.
Well, yes, and I think that we are, really with this concept, I think there are a lot of things that we're looking beyond our current product that would significantly transform our current society. The way we own and access spaces will change drastically, and as a result, it will enable people to live more sustainably and hopefully create a more vibrant population.
Cool. Understand. So, I don't know if I ever told you, I used to study architecture at NUS, so I did 1 year of architecture. So, I understand how architects, they go to a space, they identify what the community actually needs, because every community needs different things, and then they translate that into actual spaces for people to use. They consider the flow, the form, the function, everything. So I want to know how I'm asking this on behalf of all startup founders. During your initial stage of starting your startup, how many times do you pivot? How do you apply design thinking in your initial startup journey? It definitely must have helped you a lot, but what was your initial first idea, and how did it change over time?
I would say it starts from fundamental truths, things that you can't dispute, that is a fact, and there's a cause and causation.
Yes.
So for us architects, we always look at if we were to introduce an element of design to this, what would be the end result? And so interestingly, for me, this startup is not the first iteration. This is probably the second iteration to solve the same problem, where we realized that seniors just didn't have enough money to live fully in their retirement. At first, we thought that the easier way would be to lower the cost of living by relocating to Malaysia. Just right next door, there's Johor.
And everything is gated and nice.
Yeah. So why don't you just do that and sell off your HDB, sell off your private property, and live like a king with that? And that was a good idea. We went to market with a concept that, but we realized that from talking to people, that's not what they wanted. And then we realized, they wanted to age in place in their own communities, and that was the insight that mattered a lot. So for us, we're very much driven by that's the crucial insight that we did to build our solutions around, and through feedback with they told us they didn't want to take risks, they want to have all the pain points addressed, they wanted it to be attractive. So we went ahead and looked at how are we going to get that using the tools that are available to us. But mind you, when we first started, I never had considered capital markets as a solution to this. No one ever did. But it's just having to look around for solutions, connecting to people from various disciplines that they can point you to, hey, this worked for us. Why don't you just rehash it to your needs and it work. So when we start doing it that way and start building the process, we found that, hey, it's a solution that could work, and something that I encourage all startup founders to look at. Look for a problem that you can solve. It has to be big, and it's something which people pay money for because it saves them time or saves them money.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think like every startup, the first thing is they really need to identify a problem in the market. I think a lot of startups these days, it's very sexy to have a startup, and I think it's very good that for yourself that you identify a real need in the market and just went for it. Like I really admire your entrepreneur spirit to just take a totally different discipline and just went with it.
But like I say though that it does have its drawbacks, and I mean for a lot of people they think stars are sexy. I mean the movies make it look sexy, but the main thing is that a lot of people forget that you need to have a lot of support. It takes a village to raise a startup, and it starts with your life partner. If your wife or your husband or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, is not happy with you doing a startup, it's going to be a tough proposition, and it goes from that to your family, to your communities. You have to address all these parts, and if people are supportive of you, then go for it. And that's what I hope for a lot of startups, that to address that first, then it's easier, and then once you have a problem that you can solve and it's worth solving, then apply resources to it, because the home front is fine. Now just focus on addressing the problem 100%.
On that point, just FYI, Blocks Anyone takes in startups from all over the world, any from anywhere. We don't care about your background, as long as you have useful tech that can solve a problem, we will incubate you. So apply on our website at singapore.blocksanyone.co. We have questions from the Facebook page. First, do you have any advice having a UX, UI expert in your team from the start? Will you hire a UX, UI expert in your team from the start?
Well, for us, we've developed a matrix-based organization where we do have a digital infrastructure and Kaizen pillar that supports all our business pillars. So I would say that I wouldn't define the job description as UI, UX, but rather, can you bring your skills of problem solving, of continuous improvement to support our various pillars? If you are that person, then drop us a line. We'll be keen to hear from you.
Okay, the second question I have is that, I kind of know the answer to this, but maybe you respond to it. So your solution is really for private homeowners, because it makes sense, right? Because they pay for it.
It's underserved, so there's no solution for private properties.
Yeah. So is there a solution for HDB owners?
Well, there is actually. It's called the government's lease buyback scheme. Now, I would like to say that first and foremost, it's a very generous program by the Singapore government, and it's something which I wholeheartedly endorse. We just don't have it for the private sector, so that's why I created the solution for this. You see, how it works is that they look at your, let's say you bought into HDB, and you are projected to live 30 years, but you have got 60 years remaining from that HDB. So you could sell the government back 30 years, and that's converted into cash and put into your retirement account. And I think they give you some grants on top of that. So what happens is that money goes into your CPF retirement account, and if you work backwards, how much you get on a monthly basis, it's 7.1% risk-free to you. So to a lot of people, do that because it's very, very generous to the government. And so my advice is that if, let's say, you are in a larger place, try to sell that, downsize, because then you can get one layer of grants from there. And then once you have right size to a unit that you like, within the community that you like, then sell back the lease. Then you will get back the income from the retirement account. So you have two bites of the apple, and that's the most efficient way going about this for folks living in HDBs.
Oh, so when you say downsize from a bigger HDB
yeah, from five to three, because at that point in time, your kids would have moved out, maybe either moved out and living near you, which is great. Then you get then they actually get another proximity grant, or they have moved abroad, which is then we wish them good tidings and that sort. But then you have the space that you need, and first of all, it's going to be much newer. So we recommend people to go for newer properties. So you've got a longer lease, which you can sell back to the government.
I see. So for empty nesters, you can check out this HDB program called
Lease Buyback Scheme. Okay. It's fantastic.
Yes, and for home property owners, go check out Unliving at anliving.co.
.org, sorry.
.org. Okay, I have one last question, I think. What's the biggest challenge for you so far?
Oh, I think the biggest challenge, as with all startup people will find, is having to sell the product when it's never been seen before. For a lot of folks, especially in Singapore, we always look at, if it's worked, someone else, then we can copy. That's why we see a lot of tech and a lot of duplication. But when it's something totally new, it's something that has never been seen before, people are a lot more risk averse, and you have to then do a lot more homework to explain to them why this is better why this will work, and you have to then line up the proof points. So for us, what we realize is that to create a financial product like this is something where the standards have to be so incredibly high, and we have to get the right people, the right partners to work with. So, for example, my co-founder, she's not here today, but she's the ex-managing director of a global financial institution that has hundreds of billions assets under management, and she specializes in asset allocation, and also talking to a very notable institution where we're looking to collaborate to bring this product to market together by harnessing our joint strengths. So we want to make sure that we do it at a very, very high level, so well that people will say, well, we trust this, and we have full confidence that it will work. But it means that you have to do a lot of groundwork to explain this to people very patiently, to work with them, and to get to this destination that you need to need for everything to work. And so for us, time is money.
Yes. So what drives you? What keeps you going? Will be my last question.
No worries, keep asking. I'm happy to answer questions. Well, for us, it's basically...
for you.
For me.
Yes.
I think I've always been driven by the fact that I like to help people.
Yes.
But help them in a way that harnesses my career experiences, what I can do, and to do it in a big way. Because I think there's nothing more rewarding that when you can rise by lifting others, and it's something that having worked at my mom's social enterprise, serving, helping the underserved, the disabled, the disadvantaged people in society, there were over 60 beneficiaries, organizations that we worked with. Wow, it was an incredible experience, and I always believe that why not, when we're here, we're not about trying to make a rich organization a lot richer, but it's actually having a meaningful impact on the people that we serve, and we can do well by doing good together, meaning to say that we can still make money, but it has a fantastic social outcome.
Great. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for your sharing today and sharing of your passion. So, Jonathan, the CEO of Unliving. Unliving helps to elevate the silver generation in Singapore by helping them monetize their home and helping them live their best lives.
Yeah. So look forward to us launching in the near term. We're working behind the scenes to bring this to market, and everyone that we have been working with are so excited and are looking forward to when it comes out to help elevate our seniors and position Singapore as an icon of successful aging. Thank you.
Cool. So if anything, check them out at anliving.org, anliving.org.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Elvina and this is Jonathan. Tune in to our next Kopi Chat Dabao. It will be Yasaman from 42 Lab. She's an amazing founder. She's helping kids learn through tech, through bio, to get them interested in engineering and science and maths and all that. So if you know someone who is a parent, get them to tune in to our next Kopi Chat Dabao. So for today, thank you Jonathan for joining us and sharing again. And we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!